And recording. So earlier today, I went onto YouTube um, just to check on comments and stuff. And literally, the first video I saw on my feed was for Deftones. Um, the new single got released today, at this point, like 4 or 5 hours ago now. And it's called Genesis. First single was called Ohms. New album is called Ohms. This song is called Genesis. Um, I actually hadn't heard too much about this album, other than I think the guitarist had said something about this album being pretty heavy. But I went on to Google, did just a quick search to figure out when it was being released, and it looks like the album's coming out in a week on the 25th. That same article I read had like a couple of snippets from Chino saying that they kind of explored different sounds in this album, which the first single, Ohms, kind of sounded like classic Deftones. At this point, they have their sound. You know what you're going to get when you listen to a Deftones song. They pretty much stick to the same kind of format, the same guitar tunings, and the style of riffs they play are usually pretty similar. But if they are doing some kind of exploration, I imagine that this next single is going to sound different from Ohms. So I have it queued up here. It's about 5 minutes, five and some change. I think the majority of their songs tend to be about 4.5 minutes. So this isn't too different, but it's longer enough where I think this might have like an added like element or something. But either way, just gonna jump right in. I like that. It's gonna be slower. Gonna rewind that a little bit. It sounded like he said we finally achieved balance, then said Reaper. Because if I remember, Ohms had kind of like an apocalyptic look to the video, like people were dying and things were being destroyed. So is this going to be like the theme to the album? if we've achieved balance from people dying because of the Reaper, does that mean, is he looking at it from the point of view of the planet? Huh. Genesis is the beginning, but if we finally achieve balance, then that would mean that this isn't the beginning. It's a continuation because you have cause and effect kind of thing. Huh. I'm gonna probably look at the lyrics once I'm done with this. I like this breakdown. No need to turn. I saw you. So that was pretty nice. They had that background with the keys, so you can hear that a little bit with the headphones. So it was a nice kind of layer that they had. The drumming was nice and bouncy. And if you've ever seen them live, you probably don't pay too much attention to the drums until you see them live because of how great of a drummer the guy is. And yeah, he hits hard. There was a breakdown in there where for a second I thought they were gonna go into a guitar solo, which I was thinking that's very unlike the Deftones, but it was just a breakdown kind of piece to the music. So it's just like, all right, this is more in line with what I was kind of expecting from them. But it had a good groove. Definitely sticking to the kind of sound that Deftones normally does. And I'm curious about the lyrics. I don't often check on the lyrics the first time I hear a song, but let's see if it's here in the comments. Ah, here we go. I reject both sides of what I'm being told. Politics. I've seen right through it. Now I watch how wild it gets. I finally achieve balance, 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 balance. Approaching a delayed rebirth, 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 rebirth. I'm positive, like the coronavirus. There's no sense to what I'm being sold, yet here I go. I watch how wild we get, all the protest. How timely. Oh, can you taste your life? Balance, 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 balance. How will you spend your time? Reborn, 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 reborn. So it could be everyone's kind of dealing with this quarantine kind of situation a little differently. So you might be re-examining certain aspects of your life and how you've approached things and certain thoughts that you've had as far as like what life should be. So I can see how that can lead to a kind of rebirth in your life as far as how you see both yourself and the world on the outside. That's it. Climbing out of the ashes, turning time inside out. We're miles beyond the sound. So climbing out of the ashes like the phoenix, which is rebirth. The ashes could be like society crumbling. We'll start again once we open up again. Taste the lifestyle that never gets old. Yet here we go. Because we get old. So how could the lifestyle never get old? Let's see. Just watch how wild it gets. I finally achieve balance, 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 balance. Approaching a delayed rebirth, rebirth, rebirth. Climbing out of the ashes, we're turning time inside out. We're floating off in the ether. We're miles beyond the sound. If we're miles beyond the sound could just be the chatter, the talking heads on TV from the two different sides, from everything that's going on, where they're just going to argue with each other. And we're miles beyond that. We don't pay attention to that because that's not living. That's other people telling us how to live. It's a bridge. We're everywhere. No need to return. I'll show you the way. We're everywhere. So no need to return. No need to go back to the way we were. If you're being reborn, you're evolving, so there's no need to look back. Just move forward. So no need to return. I can show you where. No need to return. I can show you. Climbing out of the ashes. Outro. Oh, can you taste your life? Balanced. How will you spend your time? Reborn. So I'm getting the impression, because I don't know when he wrote these lyrics, for the time it takes for the music to get mastered and everything. This could have been written in the beginning of the quarantine. So I can see how being subjected to all the people dying whenever you turn on the TV and all the talking heads telling you two different things, how you can look to or try to look past that, because that's just chatter and that sounds, and try to balance your life based off of what you see yourself and where you go, because we're everywhere. No need to return. I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit more. These are just my like kind of initial thoughts, and it's all based off of the situation like a good chunk of us are in. And I don't normally do like lyrics analysis in these kind of videos, but I figure since the sound of this song is so in tune with what they usually do, and it's not necessarily out of the ordinary, that's kind of the way I would have to go, because otherwise I'm just like, oh, it's another good Deftones song. And that's the end of the analysis, because it's just as good as the rest of their stuff. Like, it's not necessarily like blowing me away sonically, like instrumentally. Like, it's good. I like it, but it's not very different from other stuff they've done. So it's interesting. He keeps saying the crux of the song is balance and then being reborn. Because if there's balance and you're being reborn, then people would have to have died. That's where the balance comes in, the birth and the death, the kind of scales. So Chino's take in dealing with all this might just be on focusing on how he's going to live the rest of his life, or how people should live their lives going forward. And that's the rebirth. That's how you honor the dead, or that's how you deal with all the death, is you just kind of don't look back and chart the course going forward. And you're climbing out of the ashes of that, turning time inside out. So the way you are in the future, the way you are now, is based off of the fire that you went through. So, yeah. I probably have a I'll probably have a better analysis once I'm not drinking. But yeah, definitely a good song. And it seems like this album is going to be pretty tinged lyrically by the coronavirus situation that we found ourselves in. The instrumentation itself was probably done way before then, but I also don't know that to be a fact. I'll have to research that.